Folks in the back, if you want to come join us, we have some seats in the middle. This is like a Southwest flight. We have a full flight today, so please, there are no aisle seats still available, but we do have seats inside, so please feel free to fill in. Good afternoon, and welcome to M&T Bank Stadium. I'm Jerry Sandusky, voice of the Ravens, and that is a title I never get tired of saying. It is a privilege to have everybody here on this glorious spring day as we celebrate a 20-year milestone that has literally become a fixture in Baltimore. I think about this every time when I'm driving up I-95 north or south. M&T Bank Stadium is the front door to our city. It is the signature of our skyline. And it is where, feel free to clap, absolutely. And it is where so many of us have shared so many meaningful afternoons and evenings together. I always say this about sports. The value of sports is not merely the game, it's not merely the outcome. It's who we experience the moments with. So as you come here today, I want you to think about some of the moments that you have experienced in this stadium, whether you've been here in person, whether you've listened on the radio, whether you have watched on television. And I want you to think about the people that you have shared those experiences with. Those experiences don't happen if the Ravens aren't here, if M&T Bank is not the name of this stadium, and if this is not the front door to our city. Today we celebrate 2 decades of a magnificent partnership. And great partnerships, whether they are personal relationships, whether they are business relationships, always have an exponential effect. They expand beyond just that relationship. And this certainly has been one of those relationships that has expanded its footprint throughout this region, not merely for the Ravens, not merely for M&T Bank. Among the programs that we celebrate that these 2 organizations have created, Honor Rows, recognizing young local heroes for outstanding volunteer work. Believe me, when a member of the Baltimore Ravens, when the president of M&T Bank congratulates a young person for volunteering, they are much more inclined to volunteer again. Touchdown for teachers. Do we have any teachers with us? Anybody have teachers in their family? Absolutely. Every one of us has been touched positively in our life and put our life on course thanks to the work of a teacher. Touchdown for Teachers recognizes local teachers for outstanding service to their schools and communities. And Earth Day volunteer events. M&T Bank employees, Ravens employees are constantly coming together to find ways to improve the city, the region, and the people who live here. That's the power of this partnership. It is a shared mission to make Baltimore a better and stronger community. And as I prepared for today, I took the time to ask different people, ardent fans, residents, people who visit our city, what are your favorite moments from M&T Bank Stadium? See if any of these resonate. The 2003 comeback against the Seattle Seahawks. Jamal Lewis's 295 yards rushing against the Cleveland Browns in September of 2003. 2006, when the Ravens had their first ever 4-0 start, capped by Todd Heap's last-second touchdown. Can I hear it? 2010, Haloti Ngata breaking Ben Roethlisberger's nose. 2013, the snow game against the Vikings. First game ever in NFL history with 6 lead changes in the 4th quarter, and one of the rare snow games at the stadium. Every win against the Steelers. Beating the 49ers on Thanksgiving night in the first Har Bowl. Ray Lewis and the last ride. Do you remember the celebration after the Ravens beat the Colts and Ray did the victory lap and everybody stayed and cheered, and that would lead to the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 47, which would then lead back to Baltimore and the celebration, the parade that culminated here at M&T Bank Stadium. I'll never forget that day. 90,000 people in the stadium. I think there may have been a fire code or 2 that day. People climbing the fences, the gates to try to get in. And I was the MC of that program that day, and I'll always remember this, walking out on stage and seeing 90,000 people who, no matter what I said, cheered. And in that moment, I knew what it was like to be the Rolling Stones. Greatest day of all time. The players we've seen, the fans we've met, from Captain Defense to Real Fan Dan, those are the moments that we celebrate 2 decades. We are unique. We are a city that loves its teams. We are a city that loves its stadiums. We are a city that is a beacon to others who want to know what it's like to be a champion every day of the year. I have with me today the president of two great organizations, Sashi Brown, the president of the Baltimore Ravens, Augie Chiasera, the regional president of Greater Baltimore M&T Bank. You will hear from both of them in a moment. But first, let's recap the experience of 20 years. If you would look at the video screen behind me, and let's look at the moments that have led up to this moment.
M&T Bank Stadium, Baltimore, Maryland, high above M&T Bank Stadium.
Tony, touchdown! And this house is on fire! Oh, what a scene we have at M&T!
M&T Bank Stadium is an icon in Baltimore. It really is a place of legend. Right when you walk up, you see Johnny U and Ray Lewis in Legends Plaza. And it carries not only the history of the Ravens, but holds the key to all the memories from the past. The greatest game ever played, Super Bowl V, Unitas, Barry, Mackey, Moore, and we, to name a few.
Unitas gives releasing. The Colts get a red jacket.
And now, it's the Ravens carrying the torch for Baltimore football. And for the last 20 seasons, M&T Bank has been a part of all those memories. For generations of Ravens fans, players, and coaches, it's become known as the Bank.
There is no better game day experience than M&T Bank Stadium on Sunday afternoons or on Monday nights or on Thursday nights. It's incredible. It's kind of like walking through a small town. You see friends, you see family, you see clients, and it's a real way to celebrate what's going to be a pretty awesome win on the part of the Ravens.
Snap is good. Hold is down. Kick on the way. It is up. It is good. Time has expired. What a night for the Ravens.
It's hard to believe. We've been together for over 20 years now, and it's been a fantastic partnership. I cannot imagine how we would have succeeded in Baltimore the way we have without M&T Bank being at our side. Over the last 20 years, we have both become business and community leaders in the greater Baltimore area. We're so proud to be associated with you.
When we first named the stadium back in 2003, we knew that we were going to be a long-term partner in this community. We also knew that our partnership with Baltimore and our partnership with the Ravens was about a lot more than our name on the side of the stadium. It means a deep commitment to the community. It means taking care of one another and our clients, and our commitment to making Baltimore the best it can be.
Shayla, you probably know it, but I'm going to tell you again. You are a hero.
And let's not forget about all the legendary moments over the years. Todd Heap diving into the end zone against the Chargers to seal victory. Rookie Joe Flacco taking a double pass, 38 yards for the winning touchdown. And who can forget Ray Lewis in his last dance in 2012 before the playoff win against Indy.
Listen in as the last dance begins in Baltimore.
But it's about more than football. It's about friends and family coming together on Sundays and celebrating this team and this city. And for the last 20 seasons, M&T Bank has been a huge part of that. Those legendary moments, all those epic celebrations. But most important, it's that sense of community, all at M&T Bank Stadium.
I am so excited for what the future holds. I see what we've been able to create and do over the past 20 years. And just like I can't believe where we are today versus where we were back in 2003, I can't wait to see where we're going to be in the next 10 or 15 years together.
2 decades that have shaped amazing experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium the president of the Baltimore Ravens, Mr. Sashi Brown.
As Jerry said there, welcome and thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is a very, very exciting day and a great day for the Baltimore Ravens franchise. I'm glad to be joined on the stage by my colleague and friend, obviously, Augie Chiasera here, president of M&T Bank for this greater Baltimore region, and shortly he will share his remarks after I finish up here. I'm going to take you all back to 2003. the Baltimore Ravens and M&T Bank decided to come together and join in a partnership. M&T joined the flock, and the Ravens became part of the M&T family. We recognized then that M&T reflected the values that we at the Ravens cherish so much: a commitment to excellence, focus on their customers, investment in their people, and making a positive impact on our community. We're proud and honored then, and we're proud and honored today to call M&T our partner. In the 20 years of our partnership, our brands have become synonymous. We have built a trust. We've grown together. We've endured adversity, a pandemic even. We've won together, most importantly. Some stats that I'll share. In 2003, M&T had a market cap of $4.2 billion. Today, M&T is one of the world's great banking institutions and boasts a market cap of $22 billion. Phenomenal growth, phenomenal consistency. 2003, when the Ravens' home field first became known as M&T Bank Stadium, since that time, we have won more than 200 games in total, and the Ravens have the second best regular season record over the 20 seasons and brought another Super Bowl back to Baltimore. Our most important wins have not been on the field or in our banks. Our most important wins have come in the community. And together, M&T and the Ravens have given back hundreds of thousands of volunteer hours, tens of millions of dollars in philanthropic giving, stepping up in the most critical times, addressing our community's most pressing issues, and serving our most vulnerable neighbors. Our partnership with M&T has been rewarding, and it's been fun. And while it's great to reflect on so many iconic moments and inspiring community activations of the past, I'm really excited to now invite Augie to the podium to talk about the future of our partnership.
Sashi, thanks so much for your kind words and the partnership. It really means a great deal to us. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to see so many people here today. And I even saw real fan Dan is here. Oh, I didn't write his shirt's still on, I think, right? I didn't recognize him with the shirt. There he is. Please, you don't need to stand up. We're okay with you sitting down right now. I think, and Captain Defense is here too. Yeah, so this must be a pretty big day. I can't describe to you how honored I am to represent M&T Bank today. And to be here today with you, sharing all that we've done over the past 20 years with our partners at the Ravens. And watching that video just gave me that feeling of being back here at the stadium on game day, cheering on the Ravens with our friends and our colleagues. And obviously this is a special day for us. It's one of the many special days we've had as partner organizations over the past 20 years. But this one is right up near the top. Today, we're here publicly to announce that we're extending our partnership with the Baltimore Ravens through the 2037 season. That means the Ravens will continue to play at the bank for the next 15 seasons. Now, this is the second time that we've extended our relationship with the Ravens, so I think that speaks to the strength of our relationship and really what we mean to one another, to one another's organizations. And it's hard to believe that it's been almost 20 years to the day that we first entered into this partnership with the Ravens. As Sashi had mentioned back then, M&T was brand new to the Maryland market, and having the same name on the stadium was a declaration that we're here to stay. But in those 20 years, this partnership has become so much more. We knew the partnership was always going to be about more than football. But I don't think we could have imagined back then what the partnership between M&T and the Ravens would become today. Sure, we hoped that it would get us name recognition in the Baltimore market, give the bank exposure to some potential customers and partners. We hoped the partnership would help us connect better with the Baltimore community. Boy, has this far exceeded my expectations and our expectations. In partnership with the Baltimore Ravens, today both organizations are absolutely ingrained in the Baltimore community. Our 2,000 Baltimore-based employees don't just live here. They volunteer in their neighborhoods. They serve on not-for-profit boards. They're helping businesses large and small grow. And they're helping people achieve their dreams. You know, since M&T came to Baltimore back in 2003, the bank has given more than $50 million to almost 1,000 different not-for-profit organizations in the regions. And these dollars have funded programs that have literally impacted thousands of our community partners. And I know many of our community partners are here today, and I can't thank you enough for your commitment to deliver together with the Ravens and with us the kinds of impacts that we've had in our community. So how about a round of applause for all of our community partners here? So during that time, M&T and the Ravens have become synonymous with each other, and the Ravens home, as Sashi had mentioned, has really been, we're starting to be referred to as the bank. And I love that reference to the bank. You know, I love nothing more than driving up south on I-95, seeing our sign on the old Montgomery Park warehouse, and then making that turn and seeing the stadium light up with M&T Bank Stadium and then our building downtown. It's a remarkable drive, and it's a remarkable reminder of the physical symbol that we represent to this city, but it's also a reflection of our deep commitment to this community. And I love that our customers, our colleagues, and our community partners are going to be able to enjoy the Ravens game day experience with us throughout 2037. And we already know that the Ravens have one of the best fan experiences in the NFL, and the improvements planned for this stadium are only going to enhance that experience for anyone coming to watch a game or other events. But just like the first 20 years, the next 15 years are going to be about a lot more than M&T's name on a stadium or what happens here during the football season. With today's announcement, M&T and the Ravens are excited to see what comes next. In fact, one area we believe we can make a difference together is in financial education. Teaching students throughout Baltimore the importance of saving money, creating a budget, and establishing credit. You know, as bankers, it's what our teams do every single day in the 158 branches throughout Maryland. Our teams work with organizations like Operation Hope and Boys Club and Girls Club to offer financial education courses to adults and students throughout the greater Baltimore area. But like everything else we do in partnership with the Ravens, we know we can do it bigger and better with Sashi and his team by our side. We're so excited to continue doing just that for the next 15 years, Sash, to continue moving Baltimore forward. Thank you again for joining us today at this important milestone in our partnership with the Baltimore Ravens.
So as you reflect on what has transpired over the last 20 years, I don't know what's more important and what's more amazing. The growth of both of these organizations, the impact they have had on this community, or the fact that this is the only place on the planet that purple and green actually go together. At this point, we'd like to open it up to questions. If you have questions for Augie or Sashi, this is your opportunity. Ask away. This is not the time to be shy. I'll be the first to ask then. Augie, when you set out to do this 20 years ago, banking is about metrics, obviously. There are not necessarily textbook metrics for stadium naming rights. How did you identify then what a special relationship this could be for your organization and the city, and what has become today?
Sure. Thanks, Jerry. I'll tell you, when we first put our name on the stadium, as I mentioned it before, we knew we were always committed to staying in Baltimore. It's who we are. It's what we're committed to. And the stadium really was a physical manifestation of what we always were going to do. What's amazing to me is what's become over the past 20 years is something much bigger than the name on the stadium. It's 2,000 employees between the Ravens organization and M&T going out into the community, helping thousands of not-for-profits and thousands of kids to really make Baltimore a better place. And that's where you begin to see the real impact of what the naming rights and what are two very powerful brands with two very similar work ethics and cultures around community and commitment, how we can make the difference. And to me, that's the legacy that's been created.
Sashi, for you, from the time you arrived as president of this organization, the place that you are most likely to be found was outside of the castle in the community. Where did you learn that? Where did you learn the importance of being an individual leader in an organization, but leading through the community, not just the building?
Well, my mother would kill me if I didn't say my mom, so my mom. But no, in all seriousness, I think this has become something that too often is cliche. You ask Augie, how did he know this was the right decision for them? I think when you really talk to Steve and Dick Cass, my predecessor, it really came down to who we were partnering with. And we understood that work in the community, running great businesses, I mean, if you think about what M&T represents in terms of family trying to buy a home here, save for college, small businesses and local businesses having capital and resources to grow and serve in the community, that's what M&T does. And when you think about what we really want to be about here is certainly kicking Steelers' butt, but we also want to be about the community in a meaningful way. And so to be able to partner with an organization that's so central and so committed to Baltimore really means so much to us, because there are a lot of companies that would like to put their name on a stadium. There's not a lot that actually fit us in our ethos. And I think, as you said, when we show up in the community, we don't want to just buy a ticket to a steak dinner or a reception. We really want to make a positive impact in a sustainable, meaningful way. And getting to know the people of M&T and how they plan and how they work and how they commit to making that same impact was really important to us. And so getting to know Augie and continuing to get to know Kevin and Francesco and Renee and Rich Gold and the whole team there, and others, has helped us. And we will continue to not only show up in the community, but show up with real intention to impact positively.
Last call for questions. We have a question right here. Yes, sir. Go ahead and stand up if you wouldn't mind, please.
This is for Sashi. I'm Alejandro Jaguar with the Baltimore Banner. During your tenure here, can you just mention some of the things that you're most proud of in terms of what you've experienced on the field with the organization, as well as outside of football-related activities with the organization?
Yeah, I think the culture that exists on the field really is special. And I think, and Augie can speak to this, I don't want to put words in his mouth, I think it allows brands to, like M&T, to associate with us because we do things the right way with integrity, we play the game the right way, and certainly have spent some time in my career trying to beat the purple and black. Really honored to join them and marvel at what I've seen, which is just the preparation, the commitment, the dedication to team, and then how that team shows up in the community. But I've been really proud of the season we had last year. We're really eager to get going this year and draft next week and certainly off-season program. But we can't wait till September for the 21st season of football here at M&T Bank Stadium.
Sashi or Augie, you know, both of you have talked today about community. That's kind of the word that both of you have used in today's conversation. When you started having conversations about extending this partnership, was it really the community aspect, kind of the central focus as you look to extend this partnership, you know, through the 2037 season?
Look, the short answer is yes, because that's where this partnership always started. It always started with the community and then grew from there. And you said this, the start to a conversation, it was a very natural conversation that really evolved naturally out of a partnership that has really grown to be pretty special over the past 20 years. So I wouldn't liken it to anything sort of formal or structured. It's what good friends do. They sit down and decide, you know what, this is something pretty special and we need to find a way to keep this going.
Other questions? With that, how about one more round of applause for a 20-year partnership that will one day be a 35-year partnership. Sashi Brown, Augie Chiasera, the Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium. Our program will continue in a few minutes. We're going to have some Ravens greats, Todd Heap, Jamal Lewis, Dennis Pitta will be with us. We're going to reconfigure the stage, so if you give us a couple of minutes, you'll get a chance to hear from some of the players who've created the moments that you've enjoyed for 20 years at M&T Bank Stadium. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to resume our program. And now we're going to talk with some of the players who created those moments that we all recall from the last 20 years. Please welcome to the stage one of the most ferocious running backs in NFL history, Jamal Lewis. Say hello to a guy who has recreated the word courage in coming back from 2 career-ending injuries. Think about that for a second. And a man who continued the legacy of phenomenal tight end play. Say hello to Dennis Pitta. And you know you have made it in the NFL when an entire city knows you by 1 syllable and 1 chant. Say hello to Todd. This is fun, guys, as we reflect back on what took part in the last 20 years, and you've all been an integral part of it. When you came through as players, you were all young guys, as we all were at one time, and like most people in their early 20s, probably didn't have an appreciation for the story you were starting to tell. Jamal, you're part of the first Super Bowl team, a team that took the NFL by surprise. Brian Billick's second year, nobody's expecting it, 8-8 the year before. You run over the Cleveland Browns, 295 yards. Before I get your comments on that, let's flash back and take a look. And imagine being a linebacker or a defensive back in the NFL and seeing this guy run your way. Take a look.
2nd and 9. Heap in motion. Backs in the eye. Bowler hands it off. Jamal Lewis running up the middle. He gets a block. 25-30. He's got a first down. 35. Breaks a tackle. Midfield. Got a blocker up front. He's at the 40. Near sideline. Cuts it back. 30. 20. He's up. He's going all the way. Touchdown. They said give Jamal the ball. First time he touches it. 82 yards to the house. Redmond hands off to Jamal Lewis off the right side. He's got a first down, broke a tackle. He's at midfield, 45-40. Up the middle, he's at the 30, 25-20. Pull it away, 10-5. Touchdown! Jamal Lewis right down the middle. Throws the ball into the stands. A 63-yard score. Jamal Lewis has established a new NFL single-game record. We've just seen some history here today. Jamal Lewis, with a story written yesterday that he'd set an NFL record against the Browns today, has backed it up. 30 carries, 295 yards. That's a new NFL single-game record and 2 touchdowns. Tom, it was amazing to watch Jamal Lewis go to work today when the Ravens said he'd be their meal ticket.
Maybe the second most famous prediction in NFL history next to Joe Namath in Super Bowl III. Jamal, what about that game made you think you were going to have an NFL rushing record day?
I think Kyle Bowler went down week 1, and Coach Billick called me in the office, I think the next day, and he said, hey, we're going to give you the ball 25 times a game, so can you handle it? And I'm like, sure, definitely. I can handle it. That's what I want. And you know what? The next week, he called a number, and we delivered. And our offensive line wanted it. The running backs wanted it. I think everybody wanted it, actually. So, the tight ends. You know, everybody. Saw Todd Heap out there doing some blocking out there. But everybody wanted it, you know. And we got a chance to really display it and show what we could do running the football. And I think knowing that we could get the attempts, we knew that we could get the yards. It's just getting the win. That's what we needed to get.
At what point in a game, when you're having that kind of a day, do you realize, oh, they can't stop me?
Well, it was the Cleveland Browns, first of all, but it was so that was earlier on that pregame meal. But other than that, I think coming in at halftime, Jonathan Ogden, we was going down the steps together, and he was like, hey, you already got 180 yards. We can get the record. And I was like, well, let's get it. Let's go do it. And, you know, I didn't want to push for it. You know, the line got to push for it. So they got to do the dirty work. And at that time, when they knew it and they were thinking about it, I knew that we can go get it.
Todd, you came in between the Super Bowls. You were a part of some tremendous teams, and you had to inherit a legacy, and you had to set up a legacy. At what point in your career did you start to realize that, hey, this is something that people are counting on me for? I'm not just a player. I'm a guy that they're looking to be kind of a foundational player.
It was early in my career I realized that. You know, I came in with Shannon Sharp, And so I got to learn from one of the best ever to do it my first year. And then the next year after that, Shannon Sharpe went on and they let him go. And so I knew right away that they were counting on me. Obviously, I was a first-round draft pick, so coming in, I knew there was expectations and a little bit of pressure, but no more than I'd ever put on myself. And so going into that second year, I was like, all right, now it's time to make a name for myself.
To this day, still one of the prettiest route runners I've ever seen at the tight end position. Let's take a look back at the career of Todd Heap.
From the shotgun, McNair to throw. Has time, looks to the end zone, throws complete, 3-yard line. Todd Heap, he's in, touchdown! Todd Heap, and the Ravens have taken the lead.
I'm ready to go Heap.
Well, listen to the crowd, because they will, with 34 seconds left to play. The Ravens have taken the lead, 16-13 in front of the San Diego Chargers.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, man! Let's go! This was just being a man. Here, he got hit by 3 guys.
Sean Merriman ran right through him. Sean Merriman dripped down him like sap from a tree.
For the rest of your life in this town, you will be one syllable. And it will make everybody smile. When did that hit you as a player that that's who you are to these fans?
Well, I don't know if it ever really hit me because I don't see myself in that type of light. But
you mean you thought 70,000 people were referring to somebody else named Heap?
No, I just I've always put myself in a certain light and not not like that where it's you're trying to be bigger than the team or bigger than anything else. I always wanted to just be part of the team and an integral part of the team and help us win. But it does make me smile every time they did it. So and it was definitely a fun part of my career that and obviously it's still ongoing. But
like Jamal, you went on to play for another NFL team. Jamal with the Browns, you with the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm not throwing shade on any other organization, but when you get that perspective that Baltimore is not just one of 32, it is different. What sets apart the experience of playing here?
I mean, it's definitely the community, the fans. That's number one. Number two is the ownership and the leadership. Coming in with Art Modell, and you knew right away the type of men that they want in the building. You knew the type of men that they were and the type of men that they wanted us to be. And we always had that type of leadership in the locker room. And so, and then obviously when Steve Bisciotti bought the team, he carried on that tradition and even, took it to his level. And so that was, when you're in the locker room, when you're in the building, it's something that you can't describe really. And, you go to another team and you're in the locker room and it's just a feeling that that everybody in that building is there working for you individually as a player. And that, that's hard to create that type of an atmosphere. But when you're in that locker room here in Baltimore, you feel it.
And then along comes a guy named Dennis Pitta, who, like Todd, learned from Shannon. Dennis takes the mantle from Todd. At what point in your young career, Dennis, did you recognize that, all right, this is a town that loves its tight ends, and they're starting to like me a little bit too?
Let me just first say, I'm so proud of Todd for being the foundational piece that set up Jamal and I to win Super Bowls.
I knew that was coming.
We're really proud of you, Todd. We're proud of you. It's okay. We're friends. He can take that.
They were before today.
Well, I just took his money off the offense today. So
that seems fair. Okay.
Yeah. That's fair. To be completely honest, Todd always acts like he was my mentor, which he was. I like to joke that he's not, but he was. Todd and I only got to play for a year together, my rookie year, but we've been best friends ever since. And that just speaks to the guy that he is and the mentor he was for me. I mean, rarely do you have a guy in his 10th year and a rookie who instantly become best friends and are best friends for life.
So these guys got to watch some of their highlights. We're going to take you back to December of 2013. Until then, Baltimore never had a classic snowy football game in this stadium. You had to go back to Memorial Stadium days. Well, we had snow that day, and Dennis Pitta had himself quite a day in the snow. Take a look.
Couldn't have asked for worse weather conditions. You cannot see the yard markers. Snowing that heavily. 4th and goal from just outside the 1. Flacco spreads it out. Empty backfield. He's in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Throws to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Welcome back. Dennis Pitta.
Now we're going to see them line up and go for 2.
Blitz pressure coming. Flacco hit as he throws to the end zone. Wide open. Torrey Smith. Good for the conversion. And the Ravens lead is 3. A high short kick. Taken at the 22 by Jacoby Jones across the 30, 35, 40. Midfield, near sideline. Jacoby Jones, touchdown! Ravens! This is insanity! 10 seconds left. Flacco to throw. Fires to the end zone. And it's caught. Touchdown! Marlon Brown! Hayes in the barn! And the Ravens win the wildest one you'll ever see at M&T Bank Stadium.
First NFL game with 6 fourth-quarter lead changes. Get this, 36 combined points in the final 2.5 minutes. Do you remember that day?
Vaguely. I do. I remember it mainly because it was my first game back from my first hip injury.
Right.
And it's depressing that I have to say first hip injury, but it was. And so I've never played in a game that snowy, to be completely honest. And I played at BYU in Utah, and there's plenty of snow there. But that was the snowiest game I've ever played in. But I think it played to my advantage because I was just fresh off injury, and the footing was really bad. And you would think, well, that's probably not great for a hip, but everything was a lot slower in that game. People couldn't plant and change direction very quickly, so that played into my hands really well because I still was not at 100% being able to change direction and all that. So that game was memorable from that standpoint, but that touchdown I caught was with 2 minutes left, and there was very little scoring throughout the entire game. I mean, you called it, Gary. I mean, it was for 3.5 quarters, really almost a full 4 quarters, we couldn't move the ball. I mean, it was just really hard to move the ball on offense. And so I scored that touchdown with 2 minutes, and I'm thinking, that's a game-winning touchdown. The Vikings haven't moved the ball the entire game. So I'm thinking our defense is going to get a stop, and we're off the field. And my first game back, game-winning touchdown, this is amazing. Little do I know, there's 4 more touchdowns later between both teams, and I'm just a small blip in that whole story. And so it was the craziest ending to a game I've ever been a part of, but one of the most memorable games I've ever been in M&T Bank Stadium because it was fresh off injury, the most snow I've played in, and an ending like that was incredible.
I want to ask each of you, and I'll start with Jamal, as you look back, what do you miss most from Sundays in this stadium?
From Sundays in the stadium, I think it's the fans first, of course, because we always had great fans. They're going to pack the stadium and root on the team. But I think the camaraderie, the locker room, seeing guys get prepared, see guys go through their routine, and just the things that they do to get ready to go out and play. And, you got a whole week of practice that you go through, and this is the final hoorah. This is what you do it all for. And just seeing a group of guys go out and put it all together from Monday all the way to Sunday and go put everything together and put it all out there on the field. So that's what I miss, and that's what I remember most.
Dennis?
Yeah, there's a lot you miss. There's a lot you wish you could go back and do. I think Jamal made a good point in respect that you miss taking the field with a bunch of your friends. And, I mean, that probably sounds silly to say, but that's what you are. I mean, your teammates, but your friends. And going to battle for an incredible city in a packed stadium each and every week, there's nothing like it. And you run out and, they weren't saying Pitta, but
it doesn't sound good.
It doesn't quite have the same ring
roll
to
off
it.
the tongue.
Funny story. I'll tell this really quickly. Todd and I were at a game last year, and we're walking down the side path, and a fan sees us, recognizes us, but he runs up, and he's about a foot from Todd's face, and he yells, "He!" as loud as you can in Todd's face. And I was like, man, they love that chant. They love it as much as the camo purple pants.
Right.
it's stuff like that you'll never forget. And the fans are so passionate, and being able to take the field and play for this city and this team is amazing.
And Todd, other than having people invade your personal space and yell your name, what do you miss the most?
I think it's coming out of the tunnel. All the build-up, like Jamal said, of the week, and you get all that anticipation and all that anxiousness, and you're coming out of the tunnel. And then the thing that I just thought of just came to me was leaving the field after the game, and all the fans would come down, and every week I would give my gloves to one of the kids up in the stands. And that memory just came to me as we were talking about this, and I feel like every week, and that to me, coming in the stadium and then the way we left the stadium was just special.
So I want to open it up for questions. As we do that, just raise your hand. And if you have a question, we'll kind of point you out, and then stand up, and we'll get a microphone to you. So feel free to raise your hand, and we'll have you stand up. This is like the most bashful audience I've ever seen. Are you kidding me? No questions for these guys? I'll keep asking.
There's got to be some good ones out there. I know there is. For Dennis, anyways.
There you go. Real fan Dan. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
I've got one for Jamal if we don't have any more.
Real fan Dan.
Thanks for making us winners. Appreciate it.
There are a lot of organizations that take 5 decades to have the moments that you guys have collected throughout the course of your career. It's a special place. It's a special town. And there's a standard that people have to play up to when you show up here. Todd, you came the year after the Super Bowl. Dennis, Jamal, you were a part of a Super Bowl. But Super Bowl's one game. It's one season. This is a day in, day out expectation around here, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely it is. I think when you're a championship built squad and you have the history that you have, we came in 96 and went to a Super Bowl in 2000, then went to another Super Bowl in 2012. And, that's quick. That happened really quick, and really built something here where this is a championship city, not just a championship team. I think that I've been here when it was doubtful, when I first got here. And then we stumbled early and then went on to win a championship. And then next thing you know, the whole city was behind our back. And now it's just that's what it is. When Kyle Hamilton came in this year and got drafted, he's from my hometown. He went to Marist High School right there, seen him play in high school. And I know his dad. So as soon as he got drafted, I'm like, you going to a first-class organization, and you can tell it's a championship team. So. I
don't want to scare you, but it's one of the first signs that you're getting a little older when kids you watch play high school ball are now in the NFL. I'm just gonna tell you, the gray hair comes next. Trust me.
No hair.
So, my first year doing the game, 2006, also ended with heartbreak. Hold the Colts to no touchdown. Peyton Manning kept out of the end zone. Steve McNair has a couple of end zone interceptions, and the Ravens lose the playoff game that day. This is also a business of heartbreak. Dennis, as you look back on this, other than the hip injuries, what were the memories that you think, oh, so close, but it didn't happen?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I mean, that's just the nature of the NFL. There's a lot of highs and there's a lot of real lows. I can think of not a lot of them happened necessarily here in an M&T Bank Stadium, but I can't even remember what year, but there was a couple different seasons that ended in Pittsburgh. The Antonio Brown stretches across the goal line. I think it was 2016. Yeah. We're
Christmas Day.
Yeah, I mean that one just completely sticks out in my mind. That we're kind of poised to make the postseason if we just win that game, and we take the lead at the end. And Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown and that whole crew, they march down, and on some crazy play, he's able to reach across the goal line, and we lose the game. So. I mean, it's cliche, but they talk about it's a game of inches, and it is. I mean, there's so much emotion that you put into these games, and you can lose just like that. One play, one stretch of a ball, and your whole season's over. And it's just, you have to be able to handle those highs and those lows emotionally. But that's what also makes it so fun, because the lows are really low, but those make the highs even higher. And being able to go all the way to Super Bowl and win it all, I mean, there's nothing like it. Because of all the crap you go through throughout the course of one season, throughout the course of one game, it makes that so much more enjoyable.
Tell us your memories of the lights going out in New Orleans. Because, in hindsight, we look back, we know what it was. But I know in the broadcast booth, we didn't know what it was. I'll tell you my perspective, then I want to hear yours. So we're in the broadcast booth, and we had 1 million people packed in the booth because of the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden, I remember hearing that sound when electricity just disappears. It went, choo. And the booth goes black, and I think, oh, my God, we blew a circuit. And I looked at the booth to the left and the booth to the right, and they're in the dark, and I think, oh, my God, we knocked them off the air, too. Then I looked at the CBS booth, and they're in the dark, and I knew we didn't knock them off the air. So I'm like, wow, we got a problem. And so then you don't know, is this a terrorist act? Because that was a pretty hairy time. Is this, I wasn't even thinking Beyonce. I wasn't thinking that New Orleans just didn't have a good electric grid. So you don't know what's going on. And we're trying to figure it out in the booth. What was it like down on the field? Because I saw a lot of officials running around. They didn't seem to know what was going on either.
Yeah, it was a good move by the NFL to make the game more even, because I think it was the right move. Yeah, they kept fans engaged till the end. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. How do you have a power outage? That's just my perspective, but that's a conspiracy theory. But from a player's perspective, it was interesting because not all the lights went out. It was about half the stadium, and it was actually our sidelines lights that didn't go out. And so you could see, like, initially I didn't necessarily recognize it right away. And then I think it was Joe standing next to me. He's like, wait, the lights are out over there. And we kind of look, and like half the stadium's kind of dark. And then, everything kind of stops, and I didn't have any terrorist thought or anything like that, like you mentioned. Looking back, I probably should have.
Yeah.
Because
might speak to some naivete here.
Yeah. So, but you're just sitting there like, why in the world is this happening? And, as a player, you're not thinking too much about it. You're just kind of, talking amongst each other and almost making a joke out of it. But it happened at a really interesting time in the game because we go into halftime up 21-6, and we come out at halftime, we return the opening kickoff. We're up 28-6 with all the momentum in the world and seemingly going to just run away with this game. It's not going to be close. And then the Niners got the ball back, and it's 3rd and long, and the lights go out. And so, it
was a good timeout.
It was a great timing by Goodell and that crew. But they're not going to convert that 3rd down. We have a ton of momentum, and then we're going to get the ball back, and probably at least, it's like, had that not happened when it did, I think that game would have gotten out of hand. And I don't totally believe it was.
I get to hear all of Dennis's conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I don't totally believe it.
This is where it started.
I can't imagine it was actually intentional, but it happened at a really critical time in the game where it was about to go one direction. The lights went out, and it went a completely different direction. And to the 49ers' credit, they must have handled that break better than us. I mean, you're not anticipating a 45-minute stoppage because it's 45 minutes from when the lights went out to when we resumed play, which is a long time when you're, an athlete who's warmed up, ready to go, playing, and then all of a sudden you literally, for most of that time, sit there for 45 minutes and then have to resume the biggest game of your whole life. And what a lot of people don't remember in that game, too, is because we returned the opening kickoff, our offense hadn't been on the field for, I think it was close to 2 hours.
Right.
From the end of halftime, we returned the opening kickoff to then when play resumed and we got the ball back, it had been, I want to say 2 hours. It might have been longer, to be completely honest. And that's almost the length of a full game. To not be on the field for 2 hours in the Super Bowl is really hard to restart everything, especially when you have all that momentum, all that emotion. That's a big part of that. That's driving a lot of your energy. Right. And now that's completely depleted, and you have to restart your engine. So offensively, we were not great when the lights came back on. And I think we had a fumble. We made a bunch of kind of uncharacteristic mistakes, and they got right back in that game. And so, I don't want to say that's the reason why that was a close game. Unfortunately, we won the game.
Thank God.
I mean,
right.
I can't even imagine
it would have been the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history had you not. So thank God you won.
Thank goodness we won.
Otherwise, you'd be the Falcons.
Yeah, I know. And I think about that too. That would have been bad, but it was good timing for sure.
So each of you at different eras all share one teammate in common, Ray Lewis. It's many years later, you look back, and the thought that strikes me with Ray is opposing players would get on the field early so they could watch the squirrel dance. I've never seen anything like that. That to me is, as well as all the great plays he made, that to me was something that I've never seen in the NFL before or after, that other players would come to watch the pregame. Kind of gives you an emotional edge when they're already admiring your inside linebacker. Jamal, what about Ray, all these years later, as you look back, is most special to you that you played with a guy who is literally a statue outside the stadium?
I think the biggest thing is just his intensity. And, we, as a rookie, he brought me in, and we was together every single day. But I think just his intensity and playing on the other side of the ball, I could always go to him and ask, hey, look, what you think about this? What you think about this defense, this linebacker? How can I get an edge? Whatever. But we got a chance to talk about that stuff. And I think even being on the field playing, he was always over there watching when I was on the field, and I was always watching when he was on the field. And I think just feeding off each other's energy and just really having that same mentality out there on the field we carried. And like you said, it was great that the opposing teams, they love to watch the intro, and they're intimidated, and they're all focused, so it was great having a superstar on the team.
And Dennis, by the time you arrived, Ray is a superstar. I mean, when you would travel, it was like having Elvis get off the bus. It was amazing. Like, crowds would swarm around him. What are your Ray memories as you look back on your career and your time around a guy that had that kind of persona?
Yeah, I mean, he's larger than life. I think when I started with the team, he was in his probably 13th or 14th season. Right. How many did he play? 16 or 17? So he was in his 14th season. We played 3 years together. 14 years is a long career for anybody, and he still had 3 years left on his career at that point. And, he played at the highest level for as long as he played, which is incredible. And to play that position for 17 years, I mean, that's a violent position. Todd knows. He was, Todd did a lot of blocking here, right, Todd? And so
I was an every down tight end.
I was going to say you were a 3 down tight end. Yeah, that's true. You weren't automatically flexed into the slot.
No.
Yeah, I always joke that the blocking thing's an inside joke. We won't go there. But Ray was already this larger than life person. But what I thought was funny when I first got to the team and like really my first season there, I thought, oh, he doesn't come out every game and do his squirrel dance? Because you alternate between offense and defense.
Right.
And I thought for sure it was just an every game thing. And when it's an offensive day, you have Joe Flacco with his head down just running out there. And I'm like, well, this isn't that fun. But the squirrel dance, like, when you see it on TV or whatever, you're like, oh, that's cool. When you see it in person, it's one of the coolest things you've ever seen, which is hard to explain to people.
Right.
But the energy in the stadium and, like, the emotion you feel when he's doing that, it's incredible. And it's something like I've never seen, it's just hard to explain that moment. And I was there when he did his final one against the Colts in our playoff game because we knew it was our last home game for the postseason. If we won, we would be on the road from there on out. And he had already announced it was his last ride and all that. So he did it, and I mean the anticipation behind it was, I mean, it was unlike anything I've ever been a part of. I mean, to get you emotionally ready for a game, you watch another grown man dance. It works.
Yeah.
It does. It works. I don't know how, but it works. And it was honestly one of the coolest game day things I was a part of while I was here.
The thing that strikes me as I look back at the old highlights, 80% of his hits would be illegal today.
Yeah.
And back in the day in training camp, you guys used to hit. Did you ever get hit by Ray?
My very first hit in training camp was by Ray Lewis.
Hello.
And I remember it was a simple route, just over the middle, right over the ball. And I caught the ball with my back towards Ray Lewis. And I held on to it. But my face mask went about 4 yards that way into the dirt. And that was kind of my welcome to the NFL moment. And a lot of people have that in games. Yeah. In Baltimore, we had that in practice.
Yeah, right. Really
but when I think of Ray Lewis, I played with Ray for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a better leader in any sport than Ray Lewis. He has to be one of the greatest leaders in sports of all time. And it wasn't just because of his play. I mean, nobody had more passion. Nobody had more energy. But there was not a better leader. And he was a great leader in the locker room, and he was a great leader on the field. And that's rare to have a guy that is that status, like you said, he's Elvis status, to be in the locker room and still have the humility that can go from guy to guy to guy, and everybody respects him, everybody loves him, and he cares about everybody in that locker room, and he's trying to build everybody in that locker room. And it's that type of leadership that made our locker room what it was. But on top, I remember his favorite movie was Gladiator. And early in my career, and this kind of coincided when the Heat chant started, but he came up to me before the game, and he grabs your helmet, and he's speaking with the most passion you've ever seen, and he says, "Heap, I need you today. You need to go out and win the crowd," and that was
really
before the game. Oh yeah, and he's when a guy like that says it to you, you're like, that energy and all that passion flows through you. And so I wasn't that type of a guy. Before the games for me, I was trying to go in almost Zen mode. I wanted to be super focused. I'd go sit on the bench before the game, 3 hours before the game, and if I didn't yawn, I knew I wasn't ready. Because I was going mentally through each play, through each scenario in my head, and I wanted to be in such a zone where I was like, okay, I'm relaxed, I'm focused, I know what I have to do this week. And so when Ray would give his speeches and everything, I couldn't get that high. I would stand in the back, and I loved every minute of it, and I wanted to be part of it, but I was in the back going, all right, stay focused, But it was like you said, it was so spectacular to watch him. I don't know how he did this, but he had that same energy in practice. And then on game day, I don't know how a man can maintain that type of passion and energy for that extended period of time and not lose it.
Well, you said that's what makes a great leader, because other people are drawn to that and they follow it. All right, I want to leave you each with one last question. Next week's the NFL draft. Who knows who the Ravens will take, but they'll take somebody in the first round, presuming that they don't trade out of the first round. If you could talk to whoever it is they take in the first round, what's the one thing you would tell him he's going to enjoy most about playing for the Baltimore Ravens? Jamal?
I think the thing he'll enjoy most is the organization. The organization, first-class organization, and the people within the organization that you're going to be able to deal with that's helping you become who you want to be and help you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish and be successful. I think that's what you should expect when you come to the Ravens.
Dennis?
Yeah, I mean, the organization is first class, and I didn't play anywhere else, so these guys can probably speak to it more so than I can. But you talk to a lot of guys around the league, and it's not the same experience. It's just not. And so you're lucky if you get drafted here. And I didn't know that early in my career. I know that now. Being able to play in Baltimore, and not just from the organizational standpoint, but from the city standpoint, because we talked about it a little bit. The fans here are so passionate about football. And, whether you're, a nobody like me or, Hall of Fame guys like this, they treat you like you're a rock star as you walk around town, and everybody knows who you are, and it's amazing how much the fans care about football. And it's infectious because, you understand there's high expectations here, and you're going to win. It's not necessarily going to be every season, but you're going to be on teams that win. It's just part of the DNA of this team and this city. And so you're lucky. I would tell him you're lucky if you get drafted here because of all that surrounds playing and being a Raven.
Todd?
Greatest organization in football. That's the greatest culture that you can have in a locker room and in a team. And it starts from the top and it goes all the way down through the players. And like I said, Jamal and I played for other teams. You don't want to disparage other teams, but the feeling you get when you're in that locker room and you know that so many people in the building are doing everything they can to make your job easy, to help you be successful. And that, it's hard to create that culture. It's something that does not come easy, but it's something that happens through great leadership, great ownership. And so I'd say to a rookie coming in, there's not a better situation you could come into have success.
And the next class of Ravens is just 1 week away, next Thursday night, the NFL Draft. Big round of applause. Jamal Lewis, Dennis Pitt, and Todd Heath.
You got to have one question.
So in order to avoid a feeding frenzy, I know we're going to have an autograph photo session. Is that what is up next? I'm just creating a panic among the organization now because I don't know that was on the agenda. But I know that while a lot of you don't want to have the opportunity to ask a question, you probably want an autograph or a photograph. So food and drink are available, but that's not what they want. So to avoid a feeding frenzy, I'm just going to throw these three guys into the crowd now. They're going to mix and mingle. If you would like a photograph, an autograph, just kind of queue on up and come on up to the stage and grab a photograph so you get a chance to talk to these guys. And then food and drink are also available back in the bar area. Thank you all very much. We really appreciate you being with us today. It's been 20 great years, 15 more on the way.
There you go.